Hello, everybody. My camera is lopsided, but welcome. I remembered all of the things today, pretty much, except starting on time, I guess. Working on it still. Um, hmm, there we are. Wednesday, Reclamation. Um, Ben will not be joining us today, so Titan will be busy in camp. He will be more or less gone for the remainder of July, um, with family visiting. And as I literally said 30 seconds ago, we love that for him, so that's good. Otherwise, we're going to continue as normal with his blessing. So, without any ado, let's get right into it. Sounded like Zhao was volunteered to do the recap.
Yep, that's correct. Um, yeah,
Shoot.
so in the interest of time, I might miss out on some finer points, but I'll try and keep it brief.
Yeah.
Um, so last time we started off the session at the tail end of our day and a half break between missions into the chaos that ensued once the Bastion had come back from their mission. And long story short, they made it, but a lot of them were cursed. And so the problem then was to find people that could remove those curses. So the party split up and tried to find people that could help with this. We looked at the tyrants. Um, we looked towards Sergeant Sky and also the Ivory Seductress. Um, some of us were lucky. Most of us were lucky, thankfully. Some of us were not. Um, and so help started going underway. Um, People would gather towards where Titan was and where all the wounded were, all the cursed. And the members of the Bastion that were there, mainly Lucilla and Lucius, who had also gotten better thanks to his bloodline, would have to make the call ultimately as to who they'd accept help from because unfortunately, unfortunately but understandably, people are not willing to work for free. So obviously, they'd have to think about that going forward. And we had just enough resources to cure 4 people, thanks to the fangs that were procured from the beast that cursed them in the first place, from my understanding. Um, and uh, ultimately, they ended up accepting help from the mysterious blood mage that came from the seductress, and 4 people were successfully cured. Uh, the rest were left with their curse for now because they still had time, and our only other alternative was Bachara, who would unfortunately leave them with some nasty scars and drain, well, not drain, but take away some of their expected life on
Mm-hmm.
top of curing them. So that's not something that they wanted to deal with for now. Um, so that's how that ended. And then once the crisis was mostly over for the day, people kind of continued on to do their own thing. Titan, I think, probably stayed back a little bit just to check on the patients and then went off to do his thing. Um, Lilith and Roz had unfortunately not planned for a chaotic evening, uh, but they thankfully did get to have the date that they planned out beforehand. I believe Melody had a showing at the tavern, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and Corona went to get a bite to eat and go to the firing range and just chat it up and train with Vanya. And as luck would have it, once the night approached, the evening approached, Titan gathered us all up again, and perhaps seeing the signs of us maybe drifting apart a little bit and wanting to make sure that we don't forget who we are and where we came from. Um, he asked us for a big favor in order to break the ice, no pun intended. And began to help him in his work with flesh crafting because that is where Lotus drew the line, understandably. And we basically ended off with all of us agreeing to help him in whatever way we could. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for the sake of not dwelling on that for too long, the night is spent in a interesting exchange of information with Titan and a lot of physical, well, politely put, fleshcraft. That is to help augment and continue to enhance Titan's body, of which I'm sure Ben would love to talk about it at greater length at some point. But until then, we assume after a couple of hours of work on Titan, everybody is going to retire for the evening. Before we jump to the next morning, is there anything anybody's doing that has any significant weight before them? Before you go to sleep?
Nothing from me.
Nope.
Passing out.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Okay. Then we skip to the following morning, where it is not as bright and sunny as the module might tell you. It is in fact a disgustingly humid, dark and cloudy day with clouds very heavy with rain overhead. The camp, after the hullabaloo, the arrival of the Immortal Bastion and the state that they were in, has since calmed down, and perhaps with the grayer day, activity feels lessened, like the atmosphere has been dampened somewhat. But that still doesn't mean people aren't about doing things. You know, this is a war camp filled with mercenaries and soldiers who have jobs that they want to go do. And therefore, the day presses on. This is technically day 2 of your back day of your time back from your last mission. I guess I'll hand the time over to all of you. And what are you all doing with your morning or your day, if you want to be a bit more broad sweeping?
I guess I can start. Mine's pretty simple.
Okay.
I think Corona would probably wander around where the patients are.
Mm-hmm.
She's not expecting to be needed, but she just kind of wants to get a lay of how things are going. If it still seems stable, I think that's good enough for her. Other than that, I think the morning will be the usual, grab breakfast and maybe spend some time working on making her hat. But that's about it.
Okay, yeah, sure. All those things sound good. Does anybody's considerations cross paths with Corona heading to the Mortis camp to the south, where the hospital tents are?
No.
Nope.
Think so. That depends on where Lucilla and Lucius are.
Good point. They would be back at their camp. Which is to say, Corona, things down in the Mortis camp has more or less settled down from the previous day, given thanks to the blood mage's assistance in removing the curse from the 2 mortally wounded members of the Bastion, to which they were able to then, between Titan surgery and Bandit's prayer blessing, have been stabilized, and Titan is likewise spending most of his time also keeping an eye on them. That is to say, while the Bastion members were significantly highlighted in their return yesterday, there still are a slew of people down there in those tents that have been wounded or sick. Mercenaries come back from missions, such as one Greenwood citizen, Jace, who is resting down there. But then there are also individuals, other people, refugees here that are sick, or infirm, or just in need of help that are also stationed down there. So when it comes down to just being in that area, while even if you don't have medical or medicine training, they will always accept help because people beds need to be changed, people need to be fed, washed, bathed, things like that. So they'll never turn help away if someone comes
Oh, okay.
offering.
In that case, she would probably prioritize that certainly over crafting her hat. She'd probably spend a good, however much time they'd need from her over there before grabbing breakfast, I think. Considering she'd probably wake up early.
Yeah, you can spend the first like half of the morning there, and then go over and grab some breakfast.
Perfect.
Okay, all right, that's a good start. Let's go next.
Lilith's pretty easy. She's feeling well rested, has some time on her hands, and is pretty sure she's going to need reagents for things later, so she's going to ask Lister for help making some more magical ink out of her blood.
Oh, great. Yeah. Callista would love to help you do that.
I can't remember what role was involved, if any.
It is an Arcana check.
Right, which I have proficiency in because I'm bonded to Callista.
Mm-hmm.
That's a natural 20, so 26.
Yep. You can essentially, I'll even give you a little extra. With Callista's instruction and your general success, you could spend as many hit die as you have to potentially increase the value of the essence you can create, or rather for the ink in question.
She'll spend all 3, why not?
Yeah, I'm sure you totally won't need them.
Yeah, who needs hit dice anyway?
Yeah, I know, they're so useless. No one uses those.
Actually, long rest from that night.
To immediately just bleed yourself out the next day.
Yay! Blood magic.
Yeah, you can get 1 uncommon magical ink.
Nice.
A pretty difficult feat, Callista would note at this particular stage. But will compliment you in doing so all the same.
I assume that takes a decent chunk of her morning.
It takes 2 hours.
I'll have to circle back to see what she's spending the rest of her morning doing then.
Okay. All right, we've got 2 left. Adi, Roz.
Audie, go ahead. Roz's might take a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say, knowing what Roz has kind of planned vaguely, I was gonna say there sort of would be a bit of crossover with Audie and Krona at some point today. Maybe their paths might cross. Who knows? Because she'd probably still go in and look in on Aladade.
That's fair.
See how her brother's doing. If he's woken up, if he's still kind of sedated because things hurt.
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. Let's find out. He is unfortunately, when you still come around to visit him in the early part of the morning, still unconscious. He is stable and he is like not in any direct danger right now. It's just how haggard he is. He's more or less in a coma to recover.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She tries not to worry. She trusts the people here. She especially trusts Titan.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Who is checking in occasionally.
She wishes she could talk to him, but she's like, but he's here. He's safe. That's the important part. Then I think she would probably spend the rest of her morning again, not to harp on it, but she is absolutely still trying to track down Viren if he shows up, to the point now that because it's been so difficult to find him after she first saw him from coming back, if she sees him with a group, she's going to be like, we need to talk.
Make a perception check.
Well, nat 20's all around.
Wow.
Let me I know a nat 20 isn't the same for checks, but I think that's like a 23. It's 23.
Yeah, that matters. Um, yeah. It takes you a couple. It takes you a couple of hours after visiting your brother, walking around because now you're actively looking, taking
Mhm.
some time because you're not really sure what his rituals are right now. You don't know where he's spending time, so it's not exactly easy to find him. And he's been leaving just enough traces behind that people are also having a hard time giving you good ideas as to where to find him. So they're not like, oh yeah, we see him at the Daisy all the time, or
She would
he's spending
also be
time in
talking to
this camp.
Kieran. If she has to, she'll absolutely talk to his kids.
Well, you wouldn't have to, because again, it takes you a couple of hours, like 2 to 3 hours. And eventually, when you're crossing through the central lane of the camp, you see him coming out of the refugee side of the camp. And he's donned his armor, carrying bow, a brace of daggers across his thigh, a bandolier of them across his chest. He looks like he's going out on a mission.
All right, then she's gonna kind of fall into step beside him, assuming he's not the sort to stop and talk.
I mean, in the past, you feel like he was.
Okay.
Viren was a perfectly sociable type. His demeanor shifted a bit ever since the fall of Greenwood.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was getting him confused demeanor wise with is it Tyrion? Taryn? There was one that was he was a bit more of a reclusive. That's not this guy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I have it in my notes somewhere, but this is a different person.
Well, I mean, Viren is like that now.
Yes.
Originally, he was not.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just keeps walking. He'll like when you kind of step alongside of him and follow him. He sees you and he looks at you and like there's enough of a I see you there.
Mhm.
But he doesn't engage in anything. He just keeps going on to his business.
Do you have a moment to say hello? Or are you just off and about to get busy with things?
Things to do, Melody. I have people waiting on me.
Right. I want to take a moment to talk to you sometime. Now's not a good time, that's fine. Why don't you come find me when you get back then?
Time permitting, I'll try to do that.
And she'll kind of skip off ahead to be able to look him in the eye, kind of thing. So like trotting to keep up if she has to.
Mm-hmm.
Unless that time's replaced with time with your kids, I'm serious. Why don't you come find me? I want to have a chat with you.
I don't know what it is you're trying to do, Melody, but I spend time with my kids every time I come back. Just like you should perhaps considering spend more time with your family too. We're all just trying to get by.
Well, that's exactly it. Just making sure you got people to get by with. And I know you've got your kids, but it's different. Just like I can't exactly rely on Asol and Zane and they're still just kids. Just making sure everybody in town's okay. I've been a little I think we've all been a little off since getting here.
He stops. He's now closer to you because you skipped ahead. So now he's back basically shoulder to shoulder with you. I mean, not literally, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll turn and look at you. I'm just trying to get my kids back home. And right now I'm just trying to do everything I can to make that come true.
We all are.
He'll just give you a small nod, but then he immediately picks back up on his pace.
Can she do some form of insight?
Yeah, you can certainly try.
She's not sure if he's just dodging the question or if he's just suddenly become the silent type, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 22.
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
Best as you can tell, he has priorities set, and he's really focused on it. Everything else doesn't seem relevant to him.
Okay. Well, then with him kind of picking up the pace, she'll stay where she is and you know, in her loudest whisper possible. Just be like, be safe out there. Come back well.
He just throws up a hand to acknowledge you.
And feeling a little stung by his reprimand, she's gonna go and hunt out her mother and her siblings that are in camp. See if there's a hand that's needed or.
Okay. I mean, there is always a need for additional help, especially with the kids. By this point, you know, people have kind of accepted this is where their home is for now. But it also means the more comfortable the kids get here, the more easy it is for them to get into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because instead of being worried or anxious or scared, if the closer they get back to their normal routine or a semblance of a routine, the more likely they'll start to getting bored and then wanting to do stuff. Of which some of them are being very well distracted by covert. But not all of them have taken to his swordsmanship lessons. In which case, you have a bunch of others running around, of which you know, Viren's children. His oldest is working at the Daisy, and the youngest is basically a runner for you didn't find out until later for the merchantry. So yeah, they kind of find some places, but the ones that haven't are you know, harder to control, occasionally getting in the trouble. So yeah, your help with the kids would be great, especially since tripling down on all of that. With as many refugees that have shown up, now a couple hundred, there are a lot of kids, and it is not uncommon for several of them to kind of gaggle together. So there's more or less a group of parents that are acting in maintaining a small kind of like school schedule to make sure the kids stay out of the trouble and, generally speaking, out of the way of the mercenaries. Especially some of those less than savory types on the east side of the camp.
Yeah, she'll lend a hand with that.
Okay. Cool.
If she sees any getting into trouble on her way back to, say, one of the lesson houses she knows has been, or I guess tents, you know, one of the convening points, she'll probably try and wrangle them and be like, you know, stop getting into trouble kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's not exactly trouble, but there are most certainly two kids sword fighting, and they look like they're going at it pretty hard. Two single-digit boys. They look like they're probably 7 or 8. Based off of how well crafted the wood swords they're fighting with are, you think they're covert students. They're
You
just
never got a witness for that.
They stop. One looks at the other. Do you know what she just said? No, I have no idea. And then they just both stare up at you.
I said they've got a place for that. It's all well and fine for people training to take out their own eyes, but you don't want to take out the eyes of the people around you.
We were fine until you showed up, lady.
Is that right then?
Mm-hmm.
Right then. If you say so.
Mm-hmm. Unless you want to fight.
Of course.
Well, you can't. You sure? You couldn't possibly beat us. We're learning from the best swordsmen in the camp.
That's right.
Hmm. Master Covert has taught us many secret techniques.
Yes. Is that the same one assigns me the missions then too?
And the other one, you go on missions?
I do.
Aren't you kind of young for that?
Could be saying the same for yourself. Aren't you a bit young to be holding a sword?
No, Master Covert says you're never too young to hold a sword.
Exactly. And when you find your skills, you're probably never too young to go on a mission. But that's what Covert is so masterful about. Make sure it's the mission that fits your skills. And if you want to hear about the stories, I'm heading this way to be story time for the younger ones. I'll try not to baby it up too much.
Yeah, but if we go with you, then we can't go to Master Covert to ask for a mission. Because you said he'd
He's
give
not-
us one.
No, I said when your skills are good enough, he'll find something for you.
Our skills are great. He clearly would have something for us.
You sure you wouldn't mind if it's something that's not magical and fun? He might just send you to be a runner, which is a very noble thing to do.
That doesn't sound very fun. No, it doesn't.
Everybody takes part in the camp.
What direction do you want to send them in?
That depends if they'll follow her to join them, you know, in the school settings. She'd try to persuade them that way. If they don't seem to budge, she'll be like, all right, well, if you don't want to come with me, Covert's right over that way. I'm sure he can find things to keep you busy all day.
Yeah, go ahead. Make a persuasion check.
To 16. How ornery are these kids?
It's sufficient. They'll follow you along. They'll both like look at each other a bunch and then look, down the way towards where Covert is. And then eventually you'll both see them look back at each other and then silently nod, like they've come to an agreement without saying anything. And they'll both do a very sort of showy presentation of sheathing their swords in non-existent sheaths, but sliding them through their belt loops.
But how very noble of you.
And then they both turn and flank you on either side. Our mission today is we're going to escort you. Yeah, we're going to take you to where you need to go.
Oh, well, that's marvelous. A mission as an escort. I suppose then, if this is your mission,
And she's going to fish in her in her, belt pouch or whatever coins she's keeping on her, because I'm sure she keeps the majority of the stash of coins that she's accumulated
With her family.
with her family in a tent,
Yeah, don't carry
not
all your
on
wealth
her.
on you. Yeah, it's a bad choice.
The whole backpack of silver.
Yeah, you guys are pretty wealthy.
We're doing pretty well. Because I'm bad at figuring this. 1 silver, 2 silver, probably. Like that would be like, oh my goodness, this is a real mission to these
Yes.
kids, kind of thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, well then. And she hands the Mitra silver. It's only right to pay it then if you're gonna be in my guards.
They look at each other with eyes sparkling, and they shove them into their pockets, and then they straighten up even more, thrusting their shoulders back, and like at a soldier's march, they begin walking you down the lane.
Yep. And she's gonna do her best to like keep especially a focus on them to keep them in line, and welcome into the group. You know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So she's gonna go find a place to corral some kids and do a story time.
Yep. Super easy to find them. Like I said, there's basically a small section of the refugee camp that is dedicated to caring for kids that don't have day jobs, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, of which there's a gaggle of parents responsible for caring for them, of which your mother and Lotus are both involved. So it's very easy for you to fall into line, find a position in a group of kids to watch over, and you can entertain. Why don't you just hit me with a performance check if you're going to do some storytelling to captivate and entertain.
Sure.
Your rolls have been pretty good so far today.
That's nat 20. She is
Ugh.
captivating.
Stop.
No.
Yeah, I think perhaps
For
even
28.
I think some of the adults are likewise captivated. Twitch is an instance where, like, you know, one of the caretakers is listening, clearly very intrigued. At one of those moments where, like, there's a kid behind them about to fall off a crate that they climbed on, and they manage to like parent reflex catch the kid before they fall, and go, oh, okay, I should probably get back to my job. But yeah, you can help watch the kiddos for a bit. And the two kids that you've hired, it's basically what just happened. Do not leave your side at any point. They likewise like clear the way for you occasionally. Like when you're entering into a space, they're very, very into this fantasy they've created for themselves.
And she does keep in mind that if they try to get too rough, that she'll try and be a little persuasive, be like, well, I mean, honorable guards don't treat people like that, you know. If the, you know, if a little kid gets in the way and they like shove him out of the way, or you know, if they're just being
no, they're being
more brutish.
They're being polite.
Nice.
They're being loud, but they're being polite, and they don't draw their weapon on anybody unless you're threatened.
Which I'm imagining doesn't happen here.
No. But they have a couple of, like, they put their hands on the hilts of their sword and they like do the couple steps forward, like, I dare you. But otherwise they don't really they're pretty well behaved, if again a little rambunctious.
Love it.
Well, seems as if Roz, your time has come.
We all knew where Roz was going.
Mm-hmm.
She wakes up tired from the hell that was the day before and the incredible roller coaster that was the end of the day.
Yup.
She's gonna go to the Immortal Bastion camp to see Lucius and Lucilla to hear that story that she was told about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, you get up. I'm assuming you have a pretty prompt morning.
Mm-hmm.
Wash up, get dressed, maybe grab a bite to eat.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of blood under the nails from flaying Titan alive.
Yup. That's exactly what happened. Do you bring any weapons or anything with you? Like, what's Roz's general dress and vibe today?
I think since she doesn't really have a conveniently carried weapon like a sword anymore, and her armor is heavy and hot, she goes in her normal clothing, not really expecting this to be anything.
Okay. So you make your way over. Again, the overall bustle of the camp feels dampened due to the grayness of the day. You pass through the center, people going about their business to and fro. As always, Covert's at his desk. He'll forward you a casual wave and a nod as he's still pouring through just mountains of books on his desk, like he's on a mission to find some piece of information.
Wave back, friendly with Covert.
And you cross over to the threshold to the other side of the camp. And you walk along. You see the chapter of fire. All the legwork being done by elementals, fire spirits. Move past the still completely empty, silent, seemingly unlived-in camp of the League of Phantoms. And then you get to the intersection where on the right side, the Tyrants camp, and on the left side is the Bastions. And as is clockwork for the Tyrants, there's a pair of them sparring. And it makes the ground underneath your feet shake. And there's an occasional shattering of wood as somebody's sent through a heavy shipping crate. But the fighting doesn't stop, and they continue at it, as is their usual ritual. But to the left is the Immortal Bastion camp, where, despite arriving in the fashion that they did yesterday, the camp looks like business as normal. You can see a lot of the ones who bear the black necrotic spots of the curse are still, helping maintain camp or moving things around, tending to the tents and washing clothes and things of that nature. You can see in the back corner where the cook fire is, several people, 3 or 4 people still, working away in the kitchen. Everything seems still par for the course, even though some people could have used the excuse of, well, I'm cursed, I could use a break. It doesn't seem to have phased them, all things considered.
I think Roz looks to the Tyrant's camp real quick, just for a moment, once again imagining what could be, and then feeling the lack of a weight on her hip and an ache in her ribs and on her back where those scars are. Turns to the left, doesn't look back, walks into the Bastion's camp.
You're given friendly greetings from those that are mid-chore. And seeing you, they'll kind of give you a nod towards the central tent towards the back where the dinner was held. Just letting you know that's where you'll find Lucius and Lucilla. Of which, when you arrive, both of them are currently setting the table for what looks like the Bastion's breakfast.
Oh, you too. You're surprisingly resilient getting back into the swing of things so fast.
Well, it's not like if all of us decided to stay in bed today, any of us would get fed.
All right. Fair enough. You mind if I help set the table?
Go ahead. Plates and utensils are over there.
You got it.
Lucilla looks over to you and gives you the same sort of sunshine smile that is normal for her. Did you sleep well?
Roz looks up, makes direct eye contact. She immediately turns red. I didn't sleep much last night.
Oh. Too hot for you? It got really humid.
Too hot. Mm-hmm.
Lucius isn't saying anything, but there is a point where you can tell he quirks a corner of his mouth where he smirks, but just keeps going about the business of setting the table.
If Lucilla looks away for even half a second, there is a threatening point of "Don't you dare."
He does not respond in any way, shape, or form. Just keeps going about his work. Well, you're welcome to have breakfast with us if that'll help wake you up. We have a
That'd be way
tea that will take some of that edge off.
Sure. I'd love to. It's way better than the gruel we get with the refugee camp. And whenever you want to tell me that story, I'm here.
Right. After breakfast.
Understood.
We're all gonna need a little energy. That being said, I don't know if you've realized, but we have pretty regular meals here that isn't of the same slop they send everyone else. We do a lot of harvesting and foraging to the south. If you have a couple of people in your camp that can at least carry things, we can take them with us next time we go out and teach them where some good things are to find.
I think there's plenty of people who'd be very happy to go with you.
Well, after we've had a chance to recover in a couple of days, we'll go out on another foraging expedition. We'll let you know when we do, so you can send some people along with us.
You got it.
And yeah, you help set the table, of which you notice they set it for the exact number of people as they have members of the Bastion, including the member that is not currently here with them. And you smell the cooks working away. You catch a waft of freshly baked bread, something fish-based. The smell of frying eggs and fat of some kind. And when they finally serve everything up, you see that they've got flaky biscuits, they've got fried potatoes, they've got scrambled eggs with poached fish kind of mixed into it all, so it's a big fluffy mass of fish and eggs. And they've got a bunch of chives that they've cut up and basically sprinkle over everything. And a tea that is a little bitter on the back end, but is really nice when sweetened with honey. That would be a pretty decent equivalent to coffee in terms of its overall strength. Admittedly, they think it tastes better. But you're invited to sit down with them. And
Is there a seat that isn't the
yes,
late members? Okay.
Yeah. You are given a place.
Okay, that's good.
Do you have a preference as to who you sit next to?
Probably Lucilla.
That's yeah, because if you hesitate, Lucilla just pulls you into a seat next to her.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, breakfast is it's good. It's filling. Conversation is still pretty normal for what the Bastion dinner was like. People will talk about themselves if things come up. There are anecdotes and jokes that people tell. And people laugh. Occasionally there's like the tale that is told about one of the other Bastion members, either Timber, who's missing, or Bryka, or Caius, the two that are recovering. And people laugh and they smile about the memories, but then at the end of it, there is a slight somber tone to acknowledge that they're, either missing or badly hurt. just they're just sort of living in that moment of acknowledging that they've got friends that are, in a bad place, but they're not forgetting them. But the breakfast will progress and finish otherwise smoothly. And the hustle and bustle of getting everything together and cleaned begins. Clattering of plates and utensils. Inside bins to be pulled over to the side to eventually be taken down to the river. Cleaning of and scrubbing of the pot that the eggs were cooked in. Just all that fun stuff. The hard labor of making a meal for a camp of people. And all the cleanup that comes with it. Of which they will happily invite you to participate in as well.
So far, that offer has never been denied. Roz is very happy to help these people.
And they are more than happy to accept it. And they will always make sure to include you. And if anything, they likewise will rib you some as well. An occasional wooden spoon pointing at a spot you missed on the pot. Even though you're pretty sure it's clean. At that point, you think you're just going to scrape away the seasoning.
After like the third or fourth time, Roz is catching on that she's getting teased and she starts smacking people's hands.
Yeah, appropriate. But after cleanup is done and everything is settled, people break off to run errands, go do more chores. Of the cursed members, half of them go to just go rest. The other two are just kind of sitting around in camp, kind of just playing cards with each other. It was pretty obvious to you during the time that you've spent there, even just setting the table in the camp and then helping clean up, that those who bear the splotches, they tend to tire pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
To which at some point when it's like pretty obvious of an observation to make as everyone's kind of parting ways, Lucilla will just sort of, be next to you and just, yeah, I have a hard time sleeping. And we think much in the same way that like divine magic doesn't affect them. We think it's just affecting their ability to recover in general. So they're just exhausted. And we think it'll be like that for a while.
Well, I don't have any of the powers that everyone else we brought to the hospital camp has, but if there's anything I can do, including just taking over some camp chores for them, like cooking or cleaning, I'm happy to help.
Thank you. You'd have to pry the chores from their cold dead hands, though. They're all kind
so
of
strong right now. I probably could pry the chores from them, actually.
You're welcome to try, but they will probably fight you all the way.
I love a good fight.
Well, do you want to hear that story?
Yes, I do, if you're ready to tell.
It's a bit of a doozy. But, yeah, let's, we're gonna go to, Lucius's tent.
Alright, lead the way.
You, walk from the front back towards the bigger tent where Lucius's tent is just adjacent to it. And he's standing outside. And he'll, pull the tent flap aside, for both of you to go in. And inside, it's, very, 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 very Spartan. It's just a single cot, a bit reinforced to support his weight. A stand with his decimated armor on it, of which you can tell there are pieces and things that are kind of laying out on a small table, which, in hindsight, you'd think it would look comical with him working on it, because by comparison to his normal stature and the size of the table, it would look like a giant trying to work on a normal person's table. But that's mostly because there's not that much room in the tent either. Yeah, and then just a footlocker on the side. However, it's worth noting, on top of the footlocker is currently that device that was played at the dinner that had cards inserted into it and music played from. Lucilla will pull out a chair, which is next to that small table I mentioned earlier, and she'll turn it around and then pat it for you to sit in.
Roz will take a seat, look between the two of them. So this is a pretty serious story, I take it.
It has to do with where we came from and why we are where we are now.
I'll try not to interrupt and hold my questions to the end then.
Lucius nods a few times and then he turns around. He opens the footlocker, kind of balancing the box on top of it, and he pulls out a card that was kind of folded into a very, very nice looking, looks like maybe white satin, some sort of very fine looking fabric, and there's a music card inside. And he takes it and he slots it into the box. Allow me to adjust volume real quick. Can we hear the music?
Yes.
Okay. Lucilla sits down on the edge of the cot. Lucius stands next to her, but doesn't sit, which makes her look quite small. So, Roz, do you know anything about Valis?
Not really, no.
It used to be a country on the Runan continent. It was ancient. It had been around since the creation of the world, or so the stories say. It is a country that was protected by a mountain range on 3 sides. It was said for a very long time the people inside the mountains never left. And it was only when a time came later that they had to leave that they dug their way through the mountains with their own strength and created cities outside to welcome outsiders in. And the country flourished. It flourished under the watchful protection of the god that allowed them strength and power. And all they had to pay it back was in faith. And it watched over them, and it every once in a while created beings born of the citizens there that were different than the rest. They were strong. They were dedicated. They could move mountains, literally. And she looks over her shoulder to Lucius. And they became the symbol of the country of Valis. The Valisai Paladins. They wore armor heavier and denser than anybody else, carried weapons that would require 4 men to hoist up into the air. They could withstand any attack and defend our homeland and never failed to do so. The being that was responsible for all this, as our culture knew it at the time, we refer to it as the One. It was a being that offered them such great power in the form of the paladins and their protection, and in the revelations given to certain peoples who were given places of influence and positions of power in the society. And through all of that, it was able to survive and grow and flourish it wasn't until a lot later, about less than 100 years ago, where it was found out that the god that gave these powers was one of the four hands of creation. So our world is made by four primordial beings of earth, wind, fire, and water. But because creation is on that scale so complicated, they made helpers. They made helpers that had very specific jobs. They had one that would collect resources to help them build. They had one that would allow their creations to be given life. They had one that would preserve creations that they wanted to return to that weren't perfect, or destroy ones that they thought were too far gone. And then they had another one that was responsible for gathering up all the pieces that were left over and separating them, the life and the resources, to go back to their respective parts. The one, our God, was one of the four hands of creation, the one that gave life. And it was because, a very long time ago, even before the creation war, where the primordial creators and the mortals fought, there was an immense threat that attacked the people of Alice. And it was the one that used its body to shield us. And it is said that the blood that it let out in defense of those people is what seeped into the ground and occasionally would find its way into those being born, thus giving birth to the paladins and the people of prophecy. Now, all of that's important because Valis has since fallen. The country, with the paladins of immense strength that would always defend it, the mountains that were impenetrable walls, and the people that could see the future, well, some people got greedy. Some people lost sight of the gifts that we were given. And in time, the country fell apart. Lucius and I are the last to be born of the one's gift, because the one no longer exists. That hand of creation, just before Talnum's creation and the Day of Judgment, ceased to exist. And it spoke to us. It left us with an imprint, a message, when we were born and able to comprehend it all. That it wanted us to go out into the world and try to find and help others find their lost family. Doesn't matter who they are, what they've done. Because that was its last dying wish. It too had family it wanted to find. It never had a chance to, and so we've been given that task. At first, we looked inwardly. We looked at our own homeland. We saw Valis struggling. And I saw the future of it that was to come. Because, you see, Lucius and I are twins. And while he might have been given the prodigious strength and power of being a paladin, I was given the other side of prophecy. And I knew what was going to happen to the place that we were born to. And when we tried to do something about it, those people who had a stranglehold on everything at our home, they tried to kill us. And so we left. And a few others did too. We're fortunate to have not left home alone. Some of the ones you've met here came with us from Valis. They've always believed in our cause. We know Valis has since completely fallen, at least the way we used to know it as. We know that many people on Runan, several organizations, saw that as a chance to take advantage of the weakness. Many of the paladins that were still alive have since fallen. And it is believed that Lucius is the last one alive. I think the point of all this, the reason why we're telling this to you, Roz. One, our mission is to help those find family of those who've lost them. This camp is a very good place for us to be. There are many families here that have been splintered by the war that started. And while we will range out and try to find those who've been lost when those people had to run, we will also take missions that seem dangerous or even impossible, because people elsewhere that are maybe looking for people here, if things are not dealt with, they might be lost. And we just can't accept that. So all of us, every last standing member of the Immortal Bastion, we are a family. But we are more connected by our agreement to our mission. We are bound together by an oath. And one not just in words. One in... She takes a long, deep breath and she just kind of exhales it. In a sense of cosmic law given to us by the hand of creation. The prime soul, the one, whatever you want to call it. That because we've all accepted this mission, we all get to share in its power. I get to communicate with everyone. We get to work together and share in each other's strength. And when we are together, we are stronger. I suppose we know you've had difficulties, Roz, since you've had to leave your home as well. And we know how you have some lingering feelings about the portal that resulted in us returning the way that we did yesterday. We have to tell you that we hold no resentment towards you. Matter of fact, if it weren't thanks to you and your friends scrambling around the camp yesterday, there would still be yet fewer of us. And more importantly, it has given us hope that once several of us have recovered, that we're going to find that place back in the murk, and we're going to go recover Timber's body. Because if he can be brought back to us, we can bring him back to life.
Sorry, what?
the Prime Soul, that hand of creation, it was responsible for giving life. When we were born, it gave us what little power it had remaining. So those pact bound to us, should they perish, we can save.
You can just undo death. Just like that.
She sort of just looks up at the roof of the tent and crosses her feet together. It's immensely more complicated than that, but it isn't done in such a way that we are disturbing the new order that's been established. It is in the fact that many people don't have this gift, this ability to do that, and to many it will be unfair. But it is something that we can do.
So why tell me specifically? Is this payment for helping you yesterday? I don't fully understand. I suppose why tell me?
In a sense, feels fair for you to know. And Lucius puts a hand on her shoulder. Rhoswen, we know you've been faced with a couple of choices. We can see one of those lingering ones still attached to you. We're offering you an opportunity to step away from it.
And what would that mean for me and for the people that I care about that aren't you and the Bastion?
Doesn't have to mean anything. You can go about the missions you've undergone. You can continue working with the people of Greenwood in the capacity that you do currently. You've helped us, and we can see a fish hook stuck in you. We're just giving you a chance to remove it and have a little help should you need it.
I don't know what to say. This is a lot for a morning.
Told you need your energy.
Now I might need another cup of tea.
I'll go fetch that.
Oh sure, I'll wait right here.
Yeah, I suspect you will. And Lucius steps out of the tent.
Roz is just wide-eyed, slack-jawed, staring at the ground like, this is a lot. It's a lot.
It is. And is why you don't need to give us an answer right away. You can consider it. But Lucius and I agreed to make this offer to you. One, because you've helped us. You and your friends both. But two, I've seen a glimpse of your future. A possible future. We make this offer in hopes that that future doesn't come to pass.
At the risk of prying into one of my own futures, what are you trying to prevent?
let's just say there was a crossroads you stood at briefly, and instead of going one direction, you went the other. And the decision was one that was just most recently made. And could still yet be made. The future isn't so set in stone that you couldn't do it still.
Ah. Pretty recent, you say?
Mm-hmm.
How recent?
Before
Few
you
days?
before you came into our camp.
There's a part of me that wants to just jump at this. And the same part of me that wants to jump at this is the same part of me that would have just leapt into that portal to the murk, and who knows what would have happened to me if that had come to pass. Maybe you know. But wisdom did not come from myself, it came from all of my friends. I think I owe it to them to at least tell them about this before I make such a huge decision.
You're welcome to. We suspected that would be the reality. Like we said, you don't have to make a choice right now. That's where Lucius returns, carrying a small tray with 3 cups of tea in a steaming ceramic pot. He'll set them down and pour 3 and hand them out.
Rose drinks hers so fast, no matter how scalding it is,
It is.
because she's a little too numb to feel the pain.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
I haven't forgotten that, like I told you yesterday, Lucilla, I owe you to my life. I do. You can say otherwise, and it's just not true. I owe you my life. I'm not saying that I'm agreeing to your deal right now, but I owe it to you to be back as soon as possible with an answer.
Make the decision, Roz, because you want to, not because you feel obligated. Do it because you think it is the choice that is right, the one you want to make. Sometimes...
Want is hard, Lucius. You understand that want, for me, could have been, instead of striking Tatiana herself with an axe, striking her with a sword. And I might not be here right now. Want is unreliable. Want could make me do something incredibly stupid.
Then do what you need to, Rhoswen. No matter the outcome of your decision, you have friends amongst the Immortal Bastion.
All right. I'm going to go find my companions, if you don't mind, and I'm going to talk to them about this. And for all I know, they'll say, yeah, go do it. What are you waiting for?
Well, there's only one way to find out.
I'll be back as soon as I can.
Mhm.
Promise.
We'll be waiting.
Ra's going to pour herself another cup of tea, drink it, not feeling it this time because she has already scalded her mouth and can't
Mhm.
feel the pain anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Head out of the camp.
Okay.
Go find her companions.
Okay, the rest of you, where do you think you are right around now?
Oh, it depends when right around now is.
Yes.
Rhoswen did this like first thing. So like 8, maybe 9 o'clock, if we give a little wiggle room.
Audie is probably then still doing story time or just finishing up. I'd
Fair.
say.
Crona's probably still at the infirmary,
Mm-hmm.
hospital's little ward.
And Lilith is just finished bleeding herself dry.
Yay!
Like one of these was specifically time gated. Again, for the sake of brevity, you can find and gather your friends together. Takes you a little bit of running around, but it's doable.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where exactly we can gather all up, but Roz would want to be somewhere where there's not going to be prying eyes and listening ears.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever that may be.
Audie would have some ideas if you needed it, because there are some places she goes to practice her own magic where she doesn't want people to hear her specifically.
That would be great.
So, yeah, she'd probably like take them, by the river a bit further away, so either the water is rushing so loud that, ambiently more people wouldn't hear, or, something like that. Something a little out of camp.
Sure. Do you want to like make a group stealth check, or are you not trying to be that actively sneaky?
Yeah, I'll make it. Why not? Just to roll some dice.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, throw it.
If Roz is doing it, then Corona will take the hint as well, yeah.
3.
There it is.
Nailed it. Yeah,
Don't worry, watch
you
this.
all destined this.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Looking for the one.
Yeah.
Good solidarity.
21.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Audie?
mean, if that's the case, yeah. Hey, we're right there with you, Roz. That's a stealth of 5.
Oh,
I rolled
boy.
2.
You guys basically even each other out.
The quiet one. Is it because I have my guards? I should send them away.
Did they try to fight Roz? She came up.
They
shoot
keep
them.
following us.
Go.
No, you have to go back.
No, you have to go take your break. But yeah, that works. But yeah, you find a spot along the river where it's kind of careening off of a small drop, so it's making a bit more noise ambiently. But there are still people along the river because this is a very important resource to the camp. But people know to respect each other's boundaries pretty much, so there's not like anybody lingering nearby to listen.
Once they're good and off by themselves, Roz is going to kind of awkwardly wring her hands, look at everyone. So, I was just at the Bastions camp this morning, listening to kind of their whole mission statement, why they're here, what they do, where their powers come from. And I wanted to talk to all of you before I made a big decision. See, I've got offers of power from a couple different sources. And the Bastion just told me a lot, including telling me about one of their powers to undo death for people pacted to them. I could be free of that stupid merc deal that I made if I take them up on their offer. Or I could take the merc deal and there'd be so much knowledge in it and power, and I just get to wield it however I want. But I still don't know what I paid to get it in the first place, and I bet it'd be worse. I wanted to ask all of you what you think, because we're being honest with each other. That's what we established last night while we were flaying Titan alive, right?
I guess so. Thought that's what this was about at first.
No, this is an entirely different brutal honesty moment.
Make sure we have to get Titan when he's free at a martyrs camp.
I told them that I would get their answer as soon as possible. So I just need... You all kept me from jumping into the Merc last time, even though I wanted to. I don't want to just do what I want, because what I want tends to be impulsive and unwise and reckless.
So far, I think this is the first reckless thing you haven't done.
Shut up!
What? They saved you from Tatiana. They helped close the portal. They're pretty good people. All things considered, they're definitely worse friends to me.
As far as your dealings with the Merc are considered, I still stand where I stood when we were talking you down from jumping into the portal. Dealing with the Merc is bad news.
I agree with Lilith. But do you know what would joining the Bastion entail exactly? Are they just trying to poach you from us, or what?
According to them, an oath toward their general mission, but they said that I'd still be adventuring with you. I'd still be going on missions with you. It wouldn't change a whole lot, at least in the short term.
What would your oath entail? What would you promise him?
Well, I didn't exactly get the details of it, but hang on. I got an entire history lesson from them, and I'm really bad at history.
As you say that, as Roz makes the comment of, you know, I didn't really ask what I'd be promising. Audie just gives you the look of, there it is. There's the recklessness.
Listen, I was a little shook by the entire conversation. It was a lot.
I mean, being told that they can bring back from dead, reverse death, that's a big deal.
Allegedly, if we make it into the Merc, if they make it into the Merc to get back their fallen member and recover the body, they could bring them back. That's how powerful we're talking.
Well, I know it's quite a romantic story either way. Venturing into danger to get one of your best friends back.
So I, 'cause I, 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 just I don't have to make any choice. I could just keep hitting things with an axe and doing it because I love fighting. That's it. But part of me feels like I should make a choice here. And it seems like nobody objects to the Immortal Bastion, at least.
Hold on. Even if you did make a choice, you'd still have a problem on your hands. And
Yeah?
that's that you don't know, unless if I'm mistaken, that's that you don't know what makes your choices reckless, or whether you should or shouldn't make a choice. You're gonna have to learn how to do that on your own at some point. And you're gonna have to feel confident about the choices that you make.
I know.
So, why do you want to join them? Assuming that's what you want.
I won't lie to you. There's a part to me that really wants a sense of, I don't know, belonging to something more than myself. I'm fighting for Greenwood right now in the hopes of one day reclaiming it, right? But even when I lived in Greenwood, I wanted more than a village life, and this is a way to do that.
They're heroes, Roz. Real, true heroes. You're not gonna find something like that from an American. Not even at the tyrants. Tyrants aren't heroes. They're tyrants. These are heroes.
I don't need to be told that the tyrants aren't heroes. I've got a reminder stuck between my ribs. I think that if you want to hear what it is that I want this. It could free me from whatever stupid little fishhook the Merc has stuck in me that I did because, I don't know, I thought it would help. And guess what? It turned out to not help all that much. It just, again, they called it a fishhook. Like the Merc has some part of me attached to it. Not to mention, I like these people. I like what they stand for. I like the talks I've had with them. They're my friends.
Chrono's nodding along as you're saying all this, by the way. She doesn't look like she's judging you, she's just listening.
So, if none of you object to me making this choice, I'm gonna go give them my answer.
Make sure you're clear on exactly what it means to join them, and maybe you can change your mind in case you do in the future. But out of all the people you could join, they're hardly the worst. In fact, I'd say they're far, far away from bad at all. Just make sure you're making the decision because you want it, not because you owe it to someone.
Funny. Lucius said exactly the same thing.
Oh. Well, he's a big guy, and I guess he's got a big brain inside his head.
Yeah, either you're very wise, or he's very not. I'm not sure which. I think you're both, good, wise, sensible people. considering he knows every single time that I say anything. By the way, Lilith, I need to talk to you about something later.
He squints knowingly.
50 eyes.
Can't have a damn secret in this camp, can we?
Mm-hmm.
Before I go making jokes like I really, really, really want to do, I guess I'll just. You know how I told you I was considering taking up place as the doctors?
Mhm.
The reason I didn't is because their methods, their values didn't really match mine. They have ways of doing things. It's just strange. Just doesn't sit well with me. So if everything that the Bastion does sits well with you, I think it's the right place for you. Means you find a home.
All right. I'm trying not to get sappy here. That's why I immediately jump to the humor. Because otherwise I'm going to start doing something stupid like crying. So...
And knowing her friend so well, to interrupt her, Audie is going to like squish her cheeks in that like you make the fishy face kind of thing, and gets really close to show just how serious she is. And she leans in and says,
And you best let me know, being my best friend and all. If Lucius ever needs somebody other than his sister to kiss him goodnight, did you come get me, alright? You make sure you promise me that right now.
Alright, but I'm telling Lucius you have a crush on him.
Who don't I have a crush on? That's always been the question.
I'm
That's-
telling Govert too.
That's my secret, Roz.
Well, maybe if they know, they'll ask me out then.
Can you let go of my face, please?
and she squishes it just like that extra little bit back and forth and lets go.
Thanks for meeting me. I really appreciate all of you, and you are my friends too, and my companions for who knows how long. I'm gonna go give him my answer.
You want company as you go?
You want to be there?
I mean, you went and got a huge, awesome history lesson without me, so I feel like maybe I should go just to see what's going on.
Almost feels like we're the bridal party.
I'd love to have people along.
Oh, also, since you did the, smart thing of gathering everyone here, might as well get this off my chest. Feel like I'm growing a bit more attached to this amulet, the power. I feel like I've been sensing more spirits around since we got back from the mission. No big deal.
You picking up my friends?
Not in the same way that Bellator and Callista are.
Should we be worried?
I don't think so. Nothing super strange, just little whispers of knowledge and some guidance every now and then when I'm trying to do things.
Right? Will you let us know if any of them start causing you problems? Or if any of them possess you without your permission? You know damn well who I'm talking to.
I only did that once.
I'll let you know if anything strange or unnerving happens.
Right.
Figured I'd throw it out there since we're being all upfront and honest about everything.
It's good policy. I'm glad we're doing it. Even if it does mean skinning a man alive. I threw up after that.
Essentially skinning them alive, actually.
It's an important distinction, but still probably not something to bring up outside present company.
I was about to say the same thing.
I
We're
thought
just
it
gonna
was
go round
perfectly fascinating.
Of course you did, Callista.
What? He's dabbling in a field that we share, except very different. I couldn't help but want to see more.
I'm sure you'll see plenty.
Anyway, I'm gonna go tattle on you, Audie, to Lucius. So,
I will be right to reach you.
yeah, I know. You're going to watch me tattle.
Yeah.
All right, well, come on. Let's go.
Well, you three have fun. I'm gonna go back to helping with the people that are in the infirmary.
All right,
let
but
me
you
know
don't
how
have
it
any secrets
goes.
you're keeping, do you?
Do I look like I have any secrets?
Everyone else
Damn.
had some. I just had to ask.
I don't have any secrets, Roz. If I did, you'd be able to read my face. Any one of you would.
You
I don't
certain of
know.
that?
Spending a lot of time at that firing range. You know,
Right?
I don't know, you falling in love with guns?
Maybe.
God, one
You
true pairing, Corona and her gun.
Slowly turning into a gun?
Don't know about that. I don't even know if magic could do that.
Any weird thoughts about replacing any part of you with a gun?
No, but I know the doctor to ask if I get that.
Okay, we're all clear.
She gives you like a half sarcastic but also half genuine like smile / smirk. I don't know how to really describe it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tiny, like not a full eye roll either, just like
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
quarter of a one.
Yeah.
We all know the look.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like Corona's going to go back to helping people at the hospital tents, and then
Yep.
Roz, Lilith, and Audie are heading back to the Bastion camp.
Seems that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I guess that means I'm obliged to say we're going to go take a break.
That you are.
Mhm.
Hooray.
I am. It also means we'll be back in 10 minutes. See you then.
See ya.
And there we went. Welcome back. We just left off, not more than 10 minutes ago, with Roz speaking to the rest of the party and coming to a conclusion is about the various crossroads she stands at. And that everyone else is a bag of dicks. But the Bastion seems pretty cool. And so, Corona heading back to the Mortis camp, the hospital camp, to help tend to those in need. We leave with Rhoswen and Audie and Lilith heading back to the Bastion camp. And we'll say, for the sake of Roz gathering everybody, walking, etc., we'll say it's just like just a good solid hour has passed since then. For funsies, whoever is quickest on the draw, I suppose, rolled me a percentile die.
You got it. That's a very interesting roll.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I want to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Does someone else want to roll?
I'm gonna ask someone else
Did
if I
you
don't get an
roll a
answer.
1?
So
I rolled a 1 on a percentile.
And it's not a 10. It's a 1.
just
It's a 1.
Oh boy.
I mean, don't fret. I'm literally asking to determine if it starts to rain.
Oh, thank
You can
gosh.
just take a breath. Yeah. It's
That
good.
dice
Yeah,
used to mean
good.
something vastly
Yeah,
different.
good. Get that out of the way for sure. But I wasn't asking for it because something was happening otherwise. So that roll's coming up sooner rather than later, but it's not happening right now. Anywho, it begins to rain. And not just a small amount of rain, torrential rain. The skies open up and it begins to downpour. So heavy that your vision is drastically reduced. Also, I just feel like it's worth mentioning. Automod did not like the word coward. Just wanted to say
I
that.
noticed.
That one's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, you begin now a somewhat difficult trek back to the heart of the camp. Several people are scrambling. A bunch of people going for laundry that was out drying. People are gathering in kids and families to tents. Of which the upside is, while people may get wet, the tent was built because Saphinus is rainy. Clusters of tents have been built on small rises with small trenches in between them. So there is ample drainage and runoff to make sure that it doesn't gather within the camp. But that does not make this any less pleasant, due to just how heavy it is.
Out of curiosity, is it just rain or is it thundering?
It is rain and thunder, yes. But not particularly windy, for what it's worth. Seems like the storm is planning to sit here for a little while. Anyway, your trek, now made a little bit more difficult, takes you 20, 25 minutes to get there, versus previously it was only about a 10-minute walk. But you get there, you walk along the pickets up the central lane, where Covert still is, but now with the large umbrella. You stride past, as always, he waves. You make your way towards the neck of the central lane, turning down the mercenary camps. Many places are a bit quieter now that the downpour has begun. The tyrants are still fighting. But when you turn to the Immortal Bastion camp, you can see that the large central tent that many of you were invited to dinner at is filled with all of the members of the Bastion. They're currently sitting around the table. You can see some of them are engaged in a game of cards. A couple are doing the, stand next to the entrance and just marvel at the rain. But once you come within sight, you will be very assertively flagged towards the central tent to get out of the rain.
Well, yeah. Walking very quickly to get out of the downpour.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome back. Pamaris, can we get some blankets, towels, something? And you all should probably come sit next to the low fire here to try to dry off a little. You probably shouldn't stay wet.
It's you two go ahead. I came to a decision.
Oh, that was quick. You want to do this in private?
No, I also kind of grab some of the wet hair over her eye, flip it back, and my hair's fucking ruined. I want to do this. I think I need to do this.
Lucius comes up with a armful of towels, just kind of hands them out to people. Are you sure that's what you want? What you need?
I think there's a reason I've been spending so damn much time with all of you. And it's not because I feel like I owe you. It's because I like you, and I think that what you do, the things that I could do with you, are things worth doing. I want this.
You see Lucilla and Lucius exchange glances, and some of you might have noticed, but not all of you perhaps, is that the rest of the members of the Bastion have likewise grown quiet, and they're all kind of watching. Lucilla steps up in front of you, Roz. And she puts out both of her hands, palms up, asking for yours.
Roz will place her hands in Lucilla's.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
And she kind of very gently cups her hands around yours. And she closes her eyes, and immediately you begin to feel something begin to whelm up inside the tent. It feels towering at first, massive. Kind of like suddenly being dropped in front of an impossibly high mountaintop. You get to stare up and watch it pierce through the clouds. But then you feel those clouds part, and all you feel is warmth. And you begin to see brief glimpses. You get to see Lucius and Lucilla and a couple of other members of the Bastion in a city of white stone, lush with greenery, beautiful brass metalworks. And they stand on a street surrounded by paladins, weapons drawn. It quickly jumps to another vision of them standing on a far grassy hilltop, looking back at an immense white city. Breathtaking. But they are streaked in blood. And then you get a series more of them on long, hard walks, of them camping out under trees in the pouring rain, bundled over a fire close together. You get to watch in each flash of memories as they find the other members of the Bastion that they've recruited, how they have followed them, chosen to be there, eventually being made family. You watch them as they fight. They beat back horrific creatures, things of nightmares. They find lost children and return them to their families. They march across battlefields abandoned and unbury those that were left for dead and save their lives. Among them, another member of the Bastion emerges. And they do this walking across the continent. eventually getting on a boat, coming to Kendrasa, where they do much the same. And with every place they go, and with every handful of good deeds they perform, another member of the Bastion is welcomed. And you get this rapid download of everything they've done. And you have a steadily growing sense as you're being shown these things that you are not seeing them alone. At first, it's very obvious for you to sense Lucilla because she is in contact with you. She's there in front of you, holding your hands. But then, as more and more time has passed, you've begun to notice that you can sense others. You can sense Lucius to her side. Beyond Lucius, you can sense Pamaris. Beyond him, Julia, Jax, Stephen, Tandon, and even closer to the end, far distant, the two still resting in their tents from their surgeries being cared for. And you watch as the most recent memories pass by of the immortal Bastion passing through the portal into a nightmarish landscape of grays and blacks and things of a world muted of color, where they spoke to a creature in humanoid form composed entirely of shadows with a huge, wide, grinning smile. And all it said to them was, "You are not the ones we wanted. Best of luck to your survival." And it vanished. And in that same moment it vanished, they were beset upon by an enormous creature. Something huge, with wings and a long neck, tail, and huge, powerful limbs, much evoking the image of a dragon, except when it finally began fighting, it was very clear something was wrong with it, as its face split into 6 different segments of a mouth filled with rows upon rows of teeth. And the Bastion battled it. And it was hard. Members were picked up, some swallowed. You caught glimpses of Lucius having to run and cut them out of the creature, but it only made the creature more angry, more desperate to consume them. And in the last moments, you watch as they, by the collars of their armor, drag out the members after the fight was won, after the creature was torn asunder piece by piece. And the only thing you can feel amongst all of the people that you sense now was that they only cared that they managed to bring their family back out. And not a single one of them had forgotten about Timber, but had no other choice but to go. You hear Lucilla's voice in your head. Rhoswen, do you swear to lend your strength to the weak and the needy, to stand before towering tyrants, those who would deal oppression, and to help find the souls of the lost and those whose families they belong to, and have them find peace?"
I swear, with every fiber of my being.
And there is a pulse. For those of you here watching, this moment for Roz, which has felt probably very long, has been maybe 15, 20 seconds. you've all felt a gathering power in the tent, kind of like a spellcaster preparing a powerful ritual. And then there's a ripple. All the tents kind of flap in reaction to the energy. And it fills the air. Although it is humid and it is warm, it fills it with a feeling of comfort, of being in front of a comfortable hearth on a rainy day. It reminds you of home. Roz, when you feel Lucilla take her hands away from yours, you feel different. You can sense the other members of the Bastion, including the pull of those two not within the tent with you, and a long, far distant dot, which you suspect belongs to Timber. But at the same time, there is a confident strength you have. And you know you've always been strong, and you don't think this has necessarily made you any more powerful, but it has given you an edge, a greater understanding as to how to use your strength. And you feel like there's more that you probably need to sit and think about to better understand.
Once she's able to pull her hands away from Lucilla, Roz is looking down at her hands, kind of feeling them out. She's got a confident smile on her face, like, I feel good. I'm different now, somehow.
Well, you're connected to us. Your connection is still young, but the more that you have it, the more strength you'll be able to borrow. And everybody's tends to manifest a gift that's closer, more unique to them, usually to answer a need they think they have. Yours will be different from any one of ours, so you'll need to take some time to learn it.
All right. I won't let you down.
We know you won't.
Anything else I need to know right away?
Breakfast is at 7, dinner's at 5.
Okay. If we're down to the more mundane things, then I'm going to break the air ceremony a little bit, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead. You want to give a
Okay,
speech?
great. No, I'm not much of one for speeches. Please, not yet. I'm just proud and thankful, and I go back even a month, I wasn't sure that I was going to matter to anyone ever at all, beyond my friends and family, and this is what I wanted. But not to dwell on that for too long. I said I was going to break the air ceremony, and my traditional way to do that is to introduce levity, which is me saying, Roz lifts a hand, points a finger at Audie. Audie has a crush on Lucius, and I told her I was going to spill that.
Lucilla begins to giggle. You hear a couple of whistles from back in the tent.
Audie just gives a matter-of-fact nod, by the way. Like, she's shameless about this. Like,
Lucius just he has his arms crossed. He just looks at you, Audie. I think you're a little too young for me.
This seems to be a character trait I have.
I suppose since we've gotten to know each other a little, Lucilla and I are a bit older than we appear.
How old?
We're both 85.
Fairly old then.
By human standards, yeah. Which, for the record, is what we are. It's the divine magic in us that stops us from aging. Speaking of
Look at
which,
you.
it'll catch up to you too. Don't worry.
Come again.
If you're connected with us long enough, you'll cease aging.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's... You didn't tell me about that part before I did all this.
That's fair. Lucilla can make it so that's not the case if it's a problem for you.
That's not a problem for me. That's a fantastic benefit, actually. Just surprised it didn't come with the introductory package of saying, oh, by the way, we can reverse death and you'll stop aging.
We weren't trying to sell you. We figured you had enough of that.
Good point.
But there are other benefits, like go find something very heavy and try to lift it. I bet you can do it now. And I mean something
Really?
you don't think you'd normally be able to do.
Something I normally couldn't lift.
It's quite a tank.
Yeah, if you just want to turn your attention to your sheet, I favorited something on your front features list.
Divine physique.
Correct.
Should I read it out loud?
Yeah, sure.
As a bonus action, it has one charge. As a bonus action, you can use your bond to augment your athleticism. For the next 10 minutes, you have advantage on strength and dexterity, athletics, and acrobatics checks. You can carry, push, drag, and lift twice as much weight as normal. The distance of your long jumps and high jumps increases by 10 feet. You must finish a long rest before you can use this again. Roz already had powerful build. This is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think the only thing in this tent Ross couldn't normally lift would be Lucius.
Don't try it.
I'm gonna try it. That said, Roz doesn't look at him and thinks about it for a second. Just a second.
And when you've grown into this a bit more, we're going to also help you with your armor situation.
Armor situation?
Unless you've already gotten a replacement from after the damage Tatiana dealt to your last set.
An equivalent one. Not anything better.
Probably something better. I mean, it's not what I wear. We only have one suit of that, but the rest of what the Bastion members wear tends to be a bit on the heavier side of things, but solid plate tends to make you very difficult to move unless it's by your choice.
You don't say.
But you need a certain amount of strength to be able to carry it.
Apparently, I'm pretty strong.
Doing it in bursts won't really do you much justice on the battlefield. You'll hit a certain plateau and you'll know. As a matter of fact, if you want to just go try it on so you understand the difference, we can humor that.
Why not?
Lucius looks over his shoulder and makes eye contact with Pamaris, the forest elf, and you just see him. You just see him shrug. All right. Roz, first of all, welcome to the family. Uh, let's go get you suited up.
That sounds great. Sounds so good.
Come on, follow me. And he walks by and he gives you a couple of hearty pats on the shoulder, like an uncle who gives you a couple of shoulder pats that are slightly too hard. And you think maybe they might have like knocked you off balance, but this time, you feel like it's just right.
Hmm.
The rest of you, do you want some tea to warm up?
Yes, please.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you lovely?
Yeah, just come sit over here, and I'll pour you some tea, and you can tell me all the things about my brother that you adore so much.
Lilith still has a towel wrapped around her head.
Perfectly reasonable given how much hair you have, yeah.
That's like covering her ears.
But Pamaris will escort you, Roz, off to one of their side tents. This one's a bit bigger than others. And when you go inside, there are just over 24 armor stands with the plate mail that you've seen the Immortal Bastion wear during training and when they left for their mission. It is made in semblance to Lucius's armor, but clearly is not as dense as his. But yeah, Pamaris will he'll take you through the the general strokes of equipping the armor on your own, because it's not complex, just cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he'll give you the basic guidelines and instructions, and it's pretty early on you recognize how fucking heavy this armor is. It is twice the weight of standard plate mail. And mechanically speaking, on the back end, you need a 20 strength score to wear it properly.
Oh, so close.
Yeah. Thus the subtle nod, wink, nod, wink, wink.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I think once Roz is in it, she, for a second, she's like, I feel so powerful. And then she takes one step, and it's one of those like waddling steps where you have to lean all the way to one side to pick up your leg and move it forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I also feel like I am a brick trying to walk.
Yeah, it's like that at first. It takes an adjustment period. But you look damn good.
Thanks. I can't move, right? But I'll get there.
You're welcome to try. Go on. Go prove Lucius wrong.
You know what? I will. Start waddling out of the tent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just make me an athletics check.
Oh yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. It's a matter of like how well can you carry yourself in it, because like fighting it you'd think it'd be impossible, but you could definitely try to strut it off a little.
Yeah, I just got the ability. I'll do it with advantage.
Yeah, go for it.
Advantage 22?
Sufficient. You think for 10 minutes while basically this is active, you can walk around in it and move relatively normally. Like, you don't think you could fight in it, but you could pretend it's okay. Yeah, Roz strides into the tent, with Pamaris on her heels, and the armor is a bluish silver color. It's layers of heavy plates, with a bit of overlap, so even a dagger couldn't even attempt to slip through to the soft human inside. The pauldrons are angular, with a eagle's head motif, but they're also built in such a way that if you were to shoulder charge somebody with them, they would be hurt badly by said decoration. The front of the chest is made in such a way that it's got some angular edges, but then it is also designed in such a fashion that if you were to parry a blade into yourself, generally a no-no, the armor would slide it into one of the plates and essentially catch the blade, allowing you to use your strength to push it off and then catch them off guard. There's a reference of Lucius's armor floating around somewhere in the general chat. If you don't recall, it's based roughly off of that. Roz looks good.
Roz in the tent for a brief while, able to move almost normally in this armor, puts her hands on her hips, looks to Lilith and naughty. Do I look like a hero?
Can you open your mouth? Yeah.
Do you feel like one?
I feel so damn hot right now. I don't mean temperature-wise. I feel like I should clarify that.
It looks
Well,
good on you.
Good. I was about to comment that your jaw was open a little.
You kind of quietly observe as a couple of members of the Bastion are tossing a few silver coins on the table.
What are you doing? What are you trading coins?
We haven't traded anything yet.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
That's a lie.
Yes, it is.
Why are you lying?
Because you wouldn't like the real reason as to what we're doing.
Well, now I have to know the real reason.
Audie leans over to Lilith.
I think she's getting a bit more insightful too.
Definitely. We're doomed.
Lucilla comes up next to you. She pats the chest plate. Looks good on you.
Thanks.
And they're betting on when you're going to collapse in the armor.
Like 4 minutes at the most.
Could you stretch it to 5?
For you? Yeah, I'll try.
I believe in you.
Oh, thanks. It means the world.
Basically at the end of the timer, you're just going to make me another athletics check.
Hey.
Whenever you want, basically.
Wow, I rolled another 16 plus 6, 22.
Wow, really
Same
nice.
result.
Yeah. Yeah, you managed to stretch it beyond that extra minute and enough for you to be able to walk back into the armory tent. So that way you can actually properly doff it.
Yeah, I think Roz is lying down to doff it.
Don't worry, you'll get used to it. Just imagine trying to train in it. And then try to imagine hiking up a mountain in it.
No, I'm not trying to imagine that right now. It's crushing my chest.
And then imagine crossing a desert in it.
You are not a nice person.
I'm merely preparing you for your potential future. And he's sort of like crouched down next to you. And again, he pats you on the shoulder. But don't worry. The longer you're with us, the easier all those things will be for you. And he begins peeling the plates off.
I'll be with you for as long as I can be. And Hopefully, I don't do anything stupid to end that. Like die. So even if I did, I guess that wouldn't change anything all that much, would it?
Don't go doing stupid things just because they told you they could bring you back from the brink of death.
Oh, that's not why I'm going to do stupid things. I'm going to do stupid things because I do stupid things.
As long as you do what's protecting people, good enough.
I'll try to remember that before I challenge Tatiana herself to a duel. Which I am not going to do with this armor.
You wouldn't get to our camp.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Also, don't think about stealing any of it.
I'm not going to steal it.
Mm-hmm. Sure you ain't. Not to go challenge the tyrants or anything.
I'm done with the tyrants. Thank you very much.
Probably for the best. Don't need you getting nearly cut in half again. We don't have another shield to stop it this time.
Yeah. For the best, I think.
And eventually you're disarmored and then sent back to the central tent. Lilith and Audie, you've been afforded tea and you've been dried. And members of the Bastion are entertaining you. Raza returns.
All right, you two. You having fun?
Of course.
Of course, they got tea.
Don't drink too much of that. I am wired right now. I had 3 of them.
Very strong.
Oh, yes.
Specialty from back home. It's got a bit of a kick. We can send some with you when you leave if you'd like.
You should try selling some of this to the academics in Saphinus. They'd love it.
If we can find another place where the plants will take, we'll consider doing that when we've retired.
Right. Well, I've done one incredibly life-changing thing for today. You do want to do anything?
I don't really feel like going anywhere until the storm stops.
I don't know if we're going to get a sit rep with it being this rainy.
Sit in and get ribbed by my new family it is.
Oh, we'll gladly mush that.
No, don't join them.
By the way, Roz, here you go.
Mm.
And Lucilla puts 10 silver in your hand. That's your half of my winnings.
So nice to know that so many people believed in me. Your armor's not that hard to wear.
You were close to breaking the record.
If I'd known that, I would have stood here and broke it.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Well, they're not all me.
Do we have to call in the question the validity of this wager when the one who granted Roz these extra gifts is the one who managed to time her wearing the armor?
I didn't do anything.
Seems like something somebody who cheated would say.
Are you accusing her of cheating?
Roz, defend my honor.
Lucilla, can I just... Lucilla, I can't defend your honor against her specifically.
Why you can't beat up your girlfriend?
You know that!
It's what Lucius told me.
Rod's gonna look away from Lucilla, point at Lucius. You bastard.
Did you really think I was going to be able to keep anything from my twin?
You are as bad at keeping secrets as I am. I expected better.
That's not true at all. Besides, we were all going to find out anyway.
Is that how this works?
I think that's how you work, Roz.
You'll catch on to it eventually, but everyone else is going to become really easy to read. We can't really lie to each other. This is kind of how that is.
Huh. Well, that's probably for the best. Won't be tempting to try to lie, like a moron.
At least not to us. Because, we'll know.
Anyway, Ross is gonna scoot closer to Lilith and whisper, "They know."
Yeah, Roz, they know.
Tell them.
I trust that you didn't intentionally tell them.
Does that mean there's something official happening, or is you just still kind of feeling attached?
I didn't understand a word of that.
I don't know that somebody who grew up with her still has trouble sometimes.
The time.
I was just curious whether or not there's a confession. Whether you've already actually decided that, yeah, she's your girlfriend, or, oh no, just kidding, we're best friends, and nothing's actually happening here. I just kiss her sometimes.
I'm feeling very called out right now, Audie.
Okay, if you promise not to make a big deal about it, I'll tell you later when we're not here.
That's not fun at all for everyone else.
What? Are you listening in?
Why wouldn't I be?
I mean, this is a big tent, but there's like 15 people here.
Yeah, and we're all gathered up towards the front where, where you are.
Shut up.
And also, if anything you say later is positive things, that's something we should celebrate. We have some wine we've been aging. Hmm?
I'm suddenly very nervous.
There.
I'm so sorry.
Honestly, anything to get my mind off the booming thunder outside. Yes, we're dating.
That is great news. Indirectly, welcome to the family.
Thank you. I didn't know that it worked like that. Do I get cool power? No, okay.
No, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. And if we could share it with everybody, well, clearly there'd be many more of us. There are limitations. But all the same, If you're important to Roz, you're important to us, but you were all already pretty important to us as it was. So let's have a small celebration and not talk about why. How about that?
That sounds great. That sounds fantastic. And if I see a single damn silver hit this table, I'm flipping the table.
You've
I wanna
watched
see that happen.
literally as 3 members are like slowly withdrawing their hands,
That's what I thought.
and then they begin whispering to themselves, amongst themselves specifically.
Hey, fair's fair. I can hear you too.
They turn their backs.
You bastards.
I'll go get the wine.
Please.
So I heard Roz was treated to a really interesting history lesson. I don't suppose we could have that shared with us.
Only if you don't go sharing it with other people. If you do, we'd have to kill you. That's a joke. We're not about that.
I figured, but I wouldn't share it unless it was very important to you for some reason.
Yeah, that's fair. To which then I wouldn't blame you. Sure. We can give you the longer story if you want to listen.
Absolutely.
It's gonna get a little sad at some points. Gonna be happy in others, and a lot of it's a lot of dry history stuff.
That's the best part.
Well, let me tell you the tale about well, Valis and its people, and Lucius and myself, and how we went from there to here. How much do each of you know about the Hands of Creation?
Would that be a check, or can I just say Lilith has a general idea of what they are?
How big is your religion modifier?
Religion, she's untrained, but it's a +4.
I would say you have to roll. It's one of those proficiency
My
matters.
inspiration. Much better with the inspiration. That's a dirty 20.
Okay. Yeah, with that, sufficient enough for you to know. You basically know the general hierarchy of creation for the origin stories of Eldarth, from the 4 primordial titans to the 4 hands of creation that they made to help them make the rest of the world, and then subsequently the Great Creation War and so forth.
She'll say as much.
What about you, Adi? Are you just going to make assumptions, or you want to check? See what Adi knows?
I was gonna say I can do a check. I imagine she might not know that much, but she's definitely been curious about ancient history or historical religions. It's a 19.
Well, given you're proficient, your DC is lower. And, well, Adi has probably heard of them with different names in different instances. Enough of what Lucilla will talk about kind of threads everything together for you in a way that you go, oh, I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
Partway through the setting up of Lucilla's stories, where Lucius returns, and he's carrying basically a cask of wine over one shoulder that could be used for someone's bathing tub. And he comes in and sets it down off to the side on one of the tables, and it groans under the weight. And he taps it, and then he begins pouring drinks, passing them around. And it is It's first of all, it's chilled, which is nice. Don't know how they managed to get it this comfortably cold. And it is a white wine. It is crisp and on the sweeter side. Notes of pear and honey. Just a little bit of cinnamon. But Lucilla will go through a unabridged version of Lucilla and Lucius's history, from the very beginning, from their first memories to them being separated, from very early on, essentially as children when they were given their assignments. Lucius to become a paladin, Lucilla to become a temple priestess. And then the story of them growing up, what their life was like, how strict things were, Lucius's training, Lucilla's studies, eventually getting to the point where they discover that either of them exist, because they didn't know that for the first 15 years of their lives. And then when they did everything in their power to make sure that they could actually spend time together, actually be a family. And then they both officially graduated, Lucius becoming a full-fledged paladin, Lucilla becoming a full-fledged temple priestess, to which they kind of go through some of the mundanities. They do talk about little glimpses of some of the corruption they saw in the leadership of Valis. To which you also learn a bit about the plague priests, these beings that existed somewhere in the nether layer. They're basically kind of long time enemies of the Valisai, and they would pop up in cycles, always emerging with a new plague, something that would spread that was quite contrary to the Valisai power, and it would always start a war that would always lead with the Valisai winning and the plague priest being demolished, but there was always more. They talk about how they saw signs of another plague priest arriving, and the leadership manipulated that information to try to gain more power for themselves, and eventually it caused downfall, because when the plague priest finally struck, they were not prepared as they should have been. And so a bunch of people within the city died, and it eventually led to Lucius and Lucilla acting on her first vision, to try to save their biological family, who they did not meet prior to that point. And it essentially you get run through a pretty heroic story of the two of them basically running through the city streets, battling their way through plague monsters, and trying to find their family. They unfortunately do fail, but in the process, they picked up a couple of stragglers along the way, of which several faces you recognize from people in the tent. And you just continue to get the rest of it. It's long. Depending on how much time you guys spend in the tent, it can be anywhere from as short as 2 hours to as long as 8.
Lilith's enraptured by this story, so she's just gonna let Lucilla keep going until she wants to stall.
Yeah, Audie's happy that it's warm and dry in here as well. So
Mm.
it kind of doubles down.
Does Ross have any objections?
Roz does not care nearly as much about the history, but now that people know she and Lilith are dating anyway, she's going to sit down with Lilith, hold her hand, and listen.
Then let's quickly go cut away to Corona. Corona, you've got a day. You're away from the party. It is downpouring.
It is, yeah.
The people at the hospital tents, again, are grateful for your help, and they will never turn it away. But that being said, there's always a need, because people always need more to survive. So they could keep you there all day. So basically, at what point does Corona retire from helping them for the day?
I guess there's two things to not. They're not necessarily hard requirements, but the downpour is definitely an incentive for her to stay for a while. But she intended to, before it happened, she intended to take part in the afternoon meeting whenever that would happen.
At noon,
Or well,
like always.
not whenever it would happen, but yeah, like depending on whether the whether the rain stops or not. And even if it doesn't, she'd probably go and check to see like if it's being held at all.
It would be.
It would be okay. So that's
Yep.
probably what she's doing then. She's just gonna stay until shortly before noon, and then head on out to attend that in whatever capacity it's happening in.
Okay. Yeah. So it does happen at noon still. Attendance is far fewer this time, but there is a head from each group that's present. There is a point during your visit with the Bastion, everyone else, that one of the members does get up. It's Primaris in specific who will kind of excuse himself to step out of the tent, and he will vanish for a half hour as he goes off to the meeting. But yeah, there are representative members from pretty much every group. There are far fewer refugee mercenaries that are present, but there are a couple. Essentially the breakdown is no new reports from return missions yet, mostly because people haven't returned. Covert reports on the fact that the Gnomish battlefront is slowly progressing further into Belwind. They are citing that soldier fatigue is beginning to become a problem because the automatons never cease attacking. And so the limitations of being mortal is where they are slowly beginning to lose. And so the decision has been made by the commanders of the war effort to give ground in locations to back themselves into better defensible positions, places they can dig in and entrench themselves, good choke points, things that will provide them plenty of cover and opportunity to make numbers matter less, and likewise protect themselves from all the other potential issues such as artillery attacks and attacks from the air.
Makes sense. Okay.
Other than that, Covert does highlight the fact that he has been told that Bellis, or otherwise known as Daisy to her patrons of the Dusty Daisy, has a request that she's willing to pay mercenaries for if they would want to go speak to her about it in further detail. Likewise, he passes along the word that the Gildan Rose Merchantry has a commission that they are willing to pay any group of mercenaries that are successful in retrieving an item 10,000 silver.
Okay.
But to speak to the merchantry for details, because he says, and with a bit of an eye roll, there's a contract that needs to be signed. And it's not that he doesn't roll his eyes at the fact that you have to sign a contract. He kind of does it at the fact of there are a bunch of conditions surrounding the job. And likewise, he then says, I have a favor I need to ask of a couple of people, but I'll come to you. Don't come to me.
That probably catches her attention, but she's not going to bug him about it. If she's not wanted, she's not wanted. Okay. I think she'd make note of those two new jobs. And the third one, but only for the sake of mentioning it if anyone's interested once we all meet up again.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point, she'd probably just be, like at the end of every meeting, just looking around, seeing if she, by seeing someone, she'll remember, oh, hey, I need to talk with them. She probably doesn't see Vanya, I would assume.
No. Vanya
Okay.
doesn't typically attend these.
Okay, yep, that's what I thought. Just wanted to make sure. I think at that point she's going to remember nonetheless, because she had this on her mind from last mission. She is running kind of low on ammo, so she is probably going to go see if she can find Vanya somewhere nearby, just to put in the order for that. And that really is her intention for the immediate future.
Well, we can hand wave one if you want, which is if you go find Vanya, takes a little time. She has 20 shells ready for you.
Okay.
How
much would she be?
She knows you've been on missions and that you've actually been fighting, so she had 20 shells ready. And she just hand waves it.
Okay.
She goes,
awesome.
You've been supplying me with materials and you've given me money. I don't need anything.
All right. As always, if you change your mind, just let me know.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully that scrap's been doing you some good. I know it's not a lot.
It's better than nothing around these parts.
Yeah. And any luck, maybe we can bring in some more gnomish contraptions, so you can use them however you like. Figure you could make some use out of all the stuff they stuff in their weapons.
Well, I definitely got an idea that I'm going to work on, but yeah, another couple of those would be sure as shit helpful.
Oh, I forget, because I think this is when I wasn't here, but did she take the 2 iron ingots that she would have been offered?
If you offer them to her, she would definitely take them.
Okay, yeah, she'd offer them to her, because I don't think that was one of the things that the group asked about to sell. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing. No, we did not sell those.
Okay. Yeah, then she'll hand those over to her.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah.
2 iron ingots.
She will happily take them.
Okay. And sorry, this is all to stall so that I could add the 20 shells.
Yeah,
but yeah, no. That's as usual, she's happy doing business with her. And if there, she's not there to bother her in any other capacity. So if she doesn't have anything for Corona, then that'll probably be it for the day for Vanya.
Okay. Yeah, no, nothing really, especially given the downpour.
Yeah.
The portable forges don't really function super well in this kind of rain, and so a lot of the craftsmen are just kind of out of business. If anything, you actually found her in a big pop-up pavilion tent where a bunch of craftsmen are just sitting there playing games and drinking because they can't work currently.
Yeah. Okay. I think at that point, Corona is probably gonna take just a little bit of time, like probably 30 minutes, figuring out like what she even could do right now, because I feel like if they can't use all the tools and stuff, then she wouldn't really be able to do much work with the leatherworking and stuff.
I mean, you can just go post up inside your tent to still get some work done on your hat.
Would it not like I forget, I don't think she really worked on it at all. So it might still need like all the treating and all that might make things a little smelly. She doesn't want to do that.
True. Yeah, and if you don't want to do that inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not a big rush to her anyway, so she's, like I said, she's probably just going to take like a couple of minutes to figure something out. Because I also don't know immediately what she would do I don't think she wants to spend literally the entire day helping over at the
Mm-hmm.
Mortis Sword. So yeah.
Okay. Well, in which case, I open up the day to the rest of you for any things or people you may have business left to attend to.
I have some very brief things to buy that could probably go pretty quickly, and maybe some crafting depending on how the buying goes.
Okay.
I wanted to buy some common essences from Kibble's crafting guide,
Yeah, of course.
and maybe a gem if that winds up being possible. If they
A
sell gems.
specific kind of gem?
A ruby
A ruby.
worth at least 50 Kraylors.
Oh, you know they do. Well, enough you can afford it.
Yeah, well,
So in typical fashion, you're welcome to hand wave any role play, but it typically means you cannot do anything about prices. So you could buy things straight up and move on with your life, or if you want to go bully someone, you could try to get prices a little bit lower.
I don't want to take up too much time because we're kind of near the end of a session.
We are.
So I will probably just buy them straight up.
Okay. Hang on. So the ruby's gonna the 50 silver ruby is going to cost you 80 silver.
Okay.
Let me quickly go find my essences reference. I'm scrolling. Scrolling more. Each essence is going to run you 70 silver.
All right. Hurts my pocketbook a little bit, but I will pay it and get those.
Okay.
And then, with what remains of Roz's day, start crafting.
Man, what you crafting?
Well, fair's fair. Gonna go get Lilith's bow, with or without her permission, and start crafting a rune onto it. Using masonry tools expertise. Or not expertise, proficiency.
One of those would have been more useful than the other, but not having it is just fine.
Well, Corona and Roz are the only people in the party who don't get expertise in anything. How much time do I have to craft in the day?
Let's say you guys stay at the Bastion for dinner. So we assume you guys eat, enjoy your time, help clean up. I would say you all leave by like 6:30. Or 6 if you need a rounder hour for the sake of it.
Okay. So like 2 hours, 4 hours if I push it.
Basically.
Okay. First check. 17 plus 3 is 20. Oh, it's a lightning rune on the bow. It'll help Lilith do just a little bit more damage. The first check is a success, and I don't think Roz could possibly fathom not pushing herself, so we'll go again. 14 plus 3 is 17. 2 successes.
Very nice.
1 to go.
Yeah, are you like doing the stay all the way through, or is this you do it for you finish it the following day?
In the interest of seeing whether or not I can finish it this session, let's just go ahead and try.
Yeah,
Why not? Roz will be up till midnight.
Why not?
11 plus 3 is 14. That is exactly enough to make a lightning rune.
Not even close.
And Roz, with or without Lilith's knowledge, puts a lightning rune on her bow. And I'll go delete the components used.
She made ink because she was going to ask you to.
Oh yeah, I needed that ink actually.
Yeah.
So I guess Lilith did have to know.
So, but yeah, I guess Lilith knows, huh? I'd say, yeah, and you had the uncommon primal essence.
Mm-hmm. That had to be used. A common arcane, a common primal, and the uncommon ink, all used.
Okay.
And I've still got one common primal and a ruby that Roz will probably get Titan's help with eventually.
Seems very pointed.
It's enchanting.
Hmm.
That is it. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay. Anybody else for the remainder of your day?
So after hearing that great story and staying for dinner and helping clean up, Lilith is going to approach Lucilla and just say, could I talk to you in private just for a little bit?
Yeah, sure. No problem. Just let's go sit in my tent.
Sure, lead the way.
Yeah. Don't worry, Roz, I won't do anything.
Okay. Or do. Doesn't matter. It's fine.
I really didn't didn't think it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is my tent. Come on. And she steps in,
Yeah.
she brings you inside.
I think the jealousy is supposed to go the other way around with you having a unique and unbreakable connection to my girlfriend, but
That's fair. I understand where that could be a problem for some people.
I'm fine. I trust you.
Appreciated. I haven't really. I was gonna say I haven't done a whole lot to earn that, but I guess we've done enough.
You've done a lot for Roz, and you've helped put her on a better track than I think she was heading towards.
You just see
And
Lucilla nod slowly. You are correct.
I wanted to thank you for that.
Well, I mean, more than happy to. Things don't always work out perfectly based off of things I see, but so far this one's heading in a good direction.
I'm glad to know that. On to a more personal matter, though.
Yes.
You talked about how your power comes from, this great primordial being.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you might know anything about this, and she'll pull out her artifact and just kind of hold it in her hands.
She will step forward and look at it very closely. I am surprised, to say the least. I don't know what the artifact is, but I do read the language on it. So this has something to do with translations between this language and common is not great. A soul container.
Well, I suppose that makes sense, considering what I've been able to do recently. I know it's Empyrean, I know it has to do with death magic, not necromancy, but death itself. And I also know that it's probably very dangerous to tap too much into it, and I should definitely not show it to certain people in this camp. But after hearing your story, I figured maybe I could learn a bit more about it from you.
Well, like I said, I don't know exactly what it is, but being able to see and read the language on it does give me a better idea as to what it's supposed to do, or at least how to get where it's going. So, if you see these two runes, which are highlighted currently, which I suspect correspond to two different souls you have in your possession?
Bellathor and Callista.
Oh, you know them. Can you interact with them?
Yes, they are even able to teach me things. I can, for example, Callista was a mage in life, and when I'm bonded more closely to her, I can cast some of her magic.
This is interesting. So these two are highlighted because they contain the souls of the two that you have, of this Callista and this Bellathor. There are 4 others, except the central one, and they're very difficult to see because they aren't activated. The runes, essentially, each soul that you could contain, when you have all of them filled, it's supposed to activate. Something is supposed to happen. Unfortunately, it doesn't go into great detail. Imprint is kind of one word, great meaning. But each of these is a milestone down a road, with it ending at a great destination. If I'm given more opportunity to perhaps meditate over this, or if you give me some time, I might be able to glimpse some truth about it. Either a past it's shared or a future it's a part of. Might be able to provide some context as to what its purpose truly is.
I really appreciate it if you have the time.
Well, a lot of us aren't going anywhere for now, so I can definitely give it a shot.
Like right now.
Oh, no. My ability isn't something I can exactly demand. But as long as you occasionally pop by, assuming you and Roz will, if I'm able to spend time near it, it has an impact on things I can see. Things I can prophesy. And it won't be guaranteed for if my next vision contains any details about it. But the more time I spend near it, the more likely it is for me to see a thread as to where it leads or has been.
Well, I like spending time here, so I don't think that would be an issue.
As has clearly been already established, you're more than welcome to spend as much time here as you want. We can even get beds ready for you if you'd like.
Maybe not quite that far. Besides, I can rest well enough just sitting in a chair.
Understandable. But yeah, I'll make sure to keep my my metaphorical eyes open for anything that can help you. No promises.
Really
It'll
appreciate
just
it.
take some time.
Of course.
I would only caution against you filling it up haphazardly until you at least have a better grasp as to what it can do.
Yeah, I don't want to find out that once I fill it up, all the souls get destroyed or something. I intend on trying to help the ones that I've gathered with me.
If we ever find ourselves stepping away, from this continent in the war here, which I doubt, but if we do, I do suspect there might be some archives back from where we came from that might have some information on that relic.
You had me at archives.
Well, perhaps sometime in the future we can visit.
I would love to. But I won't keep you away from the others. Thank you again.
More than happy to help.
think with that she'll help finish cleaning up and very quickly run through the rain back to the Greenwood camp.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Adi, anything for you?
Nothing I can really think of at the moment. Like I said, she'd probably stay around her friends when everybody's getting ready to leave. She would not overstay her welcome. Because it's wet and I was gonna say wet and cold, but I don't know if it's so cold so much as humid and uncomfortable. But she'll probably go by the Daisy to get her daily meal, even though she's already eaten, and take it back to the camp, share it with her siblings.
Sure. Doable.
I was gonna say what temperature is it? How awful does it actually? It's 28 degrees. That's terrible.
Here, yeah. Let me advance the day a little. Let's get in towards the tail end of the day. We'll assume it's closer to sundown, and we want to sorry, it's not behaving. It's cooling off, but the rain is still continuing.
Yeah.
The clouds just have not dispersed, and so it is just heavy and uncomfortable and wet.
Well, then I think after bringing food to her family and kind of helping everybody settle in, wind down for the night, I think she is going to pamper herself a little and invest in a bath because humidity sucks.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And just feel a little better, and hopes by the time that she gets out in about an hour that it's not as bad and she can just be relaxed.
Yeah, perfectly doable.
Forget
just
how much that is.
Yeah, is it just a basic bath? Bath
Yeah.
plus bath plus soap.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know what the list of this stuff is. I believe it's 25 silver.
Sure. I don't know if I ever wrote that down, but I will now.
And so the price was set in stone.
All I know is that with companionship, it was 50.
That's accurate. Well, actually, companionship is service plus 50.
Yes, on top of, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or on bottom, whatever you're into.
But
Okay, so Adi's ending her night with a bath. We've rounded the table and we've come back to you, Zhao. Anything you want to do before we finish up? End of day stuff.
End of day stuff. I suppose if the rain does let up at any point.
It does not.
It does not. Then she's probably nothing special is going to happen, I don't think. But a bath does seem pretty nice after a hot, humid day.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point that'll also happen.
Okay.
And it's 25 silver?
It is.
Okay. She will pay that.
Okay. Sounds like a pretty chill wind down to the day. And with no outstanding business, and because I have more or less accommodated for the late start, we're gonna end there. See, we don't even have to worry about Ben missing anything. You guys are still gonna be in camp by the time he's back.
Maybe.
Quite possibly.
Who knows? We'll find out next week.
We will.
Yeah, hey. Real easy tonight. You know? Sometimes when a good choice is staring at your face, you should make it. The end. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Good job, Kay. Didn't even have to ask.
Sometimes I'm on it.
We're gonna go raid Dyson Autism. Go say hello. And we're gone.